Tom's Tourney 2025 Open Division, the grand finale. All games are done except this one. The crowd is gathering. The vibes high as always as Clapham advanced to the final against Italia under 24. Thanks for being here on ULTI.TV, taking in all the action, live and free and forevermore. My name is Stefan Rapazzo, and it is an absolute pleasure to be alongside Benji Reese for the call. Benji, tell me what you're feeling right now coming into this one.
Could take it or leave it, I reckon. No, that's not true. I must admit, I am very excited for a pool play rematch. Italy roared out of the traps against the Bullfrogs in that game. 6-2 lead, and Clapham closed the gap, but it wasn't enough. An 11-10 sudden death victory for Italia. And one of the oldest pieces of ultimate wisdom is that it's tough to beat the same team twice. That is exactly what Clapham will be hoping it is today. I asked their coach, Sean Colfer, what the plan was, and he said, just don't start asleep. We think we were doing the right things. We just didn't lock in quickly enough. And it's say, well, we'll just do the same thing. We'll do it better. But they recognized that there was so much room for improvement on that previous performance.
Yeah, they were a little bit slow to start, but really did get it going. The Italians on the other side started exceptionally well against Czech in theirs. Maybe the underdog, but came out on fire and managed to hold them off just enough throughout that game. Czech did come roaring back, pushed it right to the brink, universe point game, but it was the Italians, Casanelli, with a mind-blowing, game-saving layout D, and then did enough dancing in the small space there, Benj, to make himself the game-winning goal scorer too, so he came up clutch. Look out for Casanelli.
Yeah, for Italy, I think the key here is riding the wave. You know, the azzurri blue of the Italian uniforms. I think you understand, look, we're a youth team, you know, we're quite passionate, but we can be a little bit up and down, and we've got to make sure that we keep the energy high. We continue to be our proud, brash selves, because that clearly caused Clapham a problem in the first matchup. Lean into it.
Yeah, lean into it. I know tough to mention an Italia game without mentioning Davide Mori, but I saw him on the sideline, said him and Pingu skipped their D2 semifinal to be here alongside coaching, and he said, of course, that's the reason
they lost. Yes, of course it is.
There
sure.
was a hitch to it, of course.
Although I will say Bordeaux were really good in that final, so, you know, it might not have been enough anyway, although not that they tell you that.
Any which way, you know that the coaching staff are here for this team. This is the #1 team. Anyone in Italy, BFD, whatever the case, if the Italian national team is playing, that is top fiddle, top dog, top importance. And here we go. First pull, Grazzini sends it up, and it will be Clapham that starts with the disc. Hillman to Abrams, and we're underway. Ollie Gordon on the far sideline, and it's a turnover on a missed open dump picked up by Giuliani. Giuliani to Alberto Laffi. Straight back, Grazzini, Laffi. Quick through the hands, Simonazzi. Grazzini, the Italians in the red zone after being gifted the disc. Paradisi inside to Grazzini, and the Italians break after a Clapham error and are on the board first.
What did we say the game plan was for Clapham? Don't start like you're asleep. I think someone might have forgotten to set the alarm clock, Steph, because that was really sloppy. Just a miscommunication, an errant throw in the dump space between Gordon and Abrams, and those two have played together long enough that that should not be happening. Let's be real. And you give the Italians a short field, you could be forgiven for thinking, well, they'll just try and jam it in, get the wave going early, but they didn't. They played it around a little bit. And then Paradisi, past the bidding man mountain of Charlie Butt, finds a little seam to get it into Michele Grazzini, and Italy break to take the lead.
Well, some slick play by the Italians, like you said, uncharacteristic by the two veterans of Clapham in the backfield. but these are the jitters. The crowd starting to fill in here. The new show pitch here at Tom's. This is our first year. We've moved over into the middle of the entire venue. Beautiful pitch here, lined by trees.
Yeah, of course. With the previous pitch we used as a show pitch, has switched to an artificial surface. So we're now out here on the natural grass instead.
Ford goes to Briggs and straight back to Justin Ford. McCullough, quick release, but right into the defense, nobody home. Second chance to break. Benji, what's going on here? The alarm clock's certainly not set. Rosie, sorry, that's Alicio! But they've given it back as Giuliani's full stretch can't clutch the disc.
That's a let off for Clapham because they have not woken up at all in this contest.
Long winds up, he sent it, and the cut stopped. They started again after they saw it float, but Zani in much better position to take it away. And Italy with a second chance to break a second time, but again, it's too far for Giuliani, and a bit getting sloppy here as East runs into a Briggs backhand. Briggs gets again from East. Switches the pivot and goes right back to East on the sideline. Briggs, East, continual exchange between those two, and now Magnus Wilson comes out of the stack. Wilson waits, gets Briggs. Briggs, nice inside throw. Ford catches at the ankles. Back to Magnus Wilson. Wilson calls the violation. I'm not sure what it was. He's asking Zani to come back, maybe start counting before he had entered the 3-meter space bench.
That is a wily call there from Magnus Wilson.
Wilson low to Long. He keeps it in, but not in the end zone yet. Right on the cone. Long looks back to center. Goes back to center for Briggs. Briggs leads wide. McCullough. Around, hits to Justin Ford, and Clapham evade the disaster of a double break to open and put a hold on the board.
It's still been a very poor start from Clapham, let's be real. 3 turnovers, and it wasn't exactly like Italy went out and got blocks. Just stupid errors. First, a miscommunication on the dump, then the first turnover of this point. Throw went underneath and the cutter East had taken off deep. Then the second one, a deep shot, but the deep cut hadn't gone as well. The timing is completely off because these are not coming off script, and you can tell there's clear frustration in Clapham about why the offense is not being run in the way that it should. There was Rosie rising to bring it down. Zani, excuse me, but both times they've looked for Giuliani and they've given him too much work to do. He was in the right spots, but fortunately for Clapham, Italy have made their own errors. They've let Clapham back in, and now they've got the first point on the board. They can probably say, just breathe. It's not that big a problem.
Not that big at all. They've got through the opening jitters. Seeing in our chat, Simone Gasparini, we saw Connor McHale earlier. I wonder if those two are watching together from Toronto at this stage, or maybe in DC playing together for Toronto. But they would have opposite interests of who they'd want to win. Poltok. Back to Mancinelli. Poltok again. Fires deep. Ruscello, Rag on the chase. Hill enters the picture and taps it to Rag. Hill lets out a little bit of a scream. He wasn't sure he liked this call that has now come from Ruscello.
Poltok's got a live arm. He can gun it, and he did on that occasion, but it hangs too much. Rag's in a decent position. It's enough time in the air as well that Sam Hill can come in and try and get a block as well. He seems like he's got a nasty bruise on his elbow as well. Let's have a look at this one. There might be a little bit of contact as he's coming up, but I think Ruscello gets too far underneath it.
Yeah.
Is there contact? Yes. Is it a foul? I'm not sure that it really affected the result of the play.
Is the outcome, and I think that's the right outcome on this asking. It's a tough one. I like your estimation of that, Benji. He had just overrun it. He was reaching back almost into Sam Hill, so we play on with Hillman.
Bump on the mark, potentially. Casanelli's the defender.
Hillman leads for Rag. Rag isolates Hillman and gets the up line only just on an ankle catch. Now Ash Yo. Yo motions to go all the way around.
Yoshins.
Love it, Benji. Eels drops the shoulder. He's playing the wrong sport out there. Eels kind of grunts and squeals with that one.
He and Poltuk are quite similar body types, aren't they? Small, stocky figures.
Yeah, a couple of nuggets bouncing off each other. Rag. All the way around. Yo. Ooh, I thought he was going to force one there to Hill. He may have had the space for it, but he waits, shows patience, and goes to Hillman. Back, Sarin. Sarin keeps it alive and keeps it in. It's Wijaya with the goal, and Clapham break back. That didn't take long, Benji.
If you're looking at this Clapham roster thinking, it looks remarkably similar to last year, yes, a few players have moved on, and most of the players who have come in were on the fringes in and around the squad as it is already. But Rada Sarin is one of those who has come in from outside, and they were so impressed with him at tryouts. Already he's finding his way to become an important role player on this roster. You know, they feel like as well he's got a decent sense of physicality while he's kind of still growing into that stature of his. This time he finds Wijaya free at the front of that far side of the end zone for the score, and as you mentioned, that is the break back for Clapham to get us back on serve here in this contest.
Benj, don't mind me, just topping up my coffee here. Gets me thinking of our wonderful drone pilot.
You mean the game's not exciting enough already?
I know it is, but you know, it's a long weekend here, and because we got the coffee bill with us, he makes sure that I'm always interested in thinking about the coffee bill. The.coffee.bill. Check him out on Instagram. He's our drone guy, but he's a coffee guy.
He's so much more than our drone guy, Steph. Come on. Well,
I'm just trying to give the quick info right now, Benji. We're stuck in the middle of a final here, you know.
You know what? Fair enough. But our whole ULTI.TV crew have been doing a bang-up job this weekend. Multi-camera coverage. We've had the gimbal out, the drones. You know, running the ones and twos from the director's box. Obviously, I'm biased. I think we've got an outstanding commentary team as well. But it's coverage that I hope is fitting of one of the world's premier ultimate tournaments.
Yeah, that needs that shout-out, Benji. You're absolutely right. Giving this kind of exposure to this kind of talent is just so validated. Pull talk now on the mark. Casanelli had heroics in the semi. Ruscello goes back to Fantini and hits the far sideline. No, that was Pull talk. Saraco leads. Fabri is there. Ooh, he fabricates one to Fantini. He goes around. Casanelli catches up. And the Italians level things up 2 apiece.
That could easily have been quite a tricky possession because they're going for a lot of these lead passes. And it's really easy then when you have players running from behind the disc to get in a position in front that often you go in each other's way. You can cause fouls, there's picks, there's a lot of traffic, and that can cause often to bodies in the way that perhaps you weren't quite expecting. But they were able at the end to keep that space on this near side of the field free. Yeah, Fantini's just threatening that flick for long enough that he can step wide around the mark of bricking, and Casanelli with the score to keep us on serve at 2 apiece.
It's just been such an incredible weekend. I guess it's Saturday now. We started on Wednesday night, but you talk about tournaments and you say weekend more often than not.
It always catches me out, Steph.
Yeah,
always.
So I'm still going to say it's been such a wonderful weekend here in Bruges. It always is, but this year they went the extra mile, ordered the sun that stuck around with us throughout, bronzed faces across the entire tournament. The ambiance now, finals day ambiance, always, you know, a level up from what we get all weekend. It really is just an incredible event here at Tom's, one not to be missed, as Briggs delivers to Long, and now McCullough goes to Bogan Carey up the sideline. They have compromised this zone quickly thus far. Magnus Wilson. Now some pressure from the zone. Briggs throws the hammer, and that will finish with the compromising of that zone.
You're right to talk about the word compromised, I think, because they never got themselves in a position to really properly set it up. The pool didn't have enough hang time. It wasn't angled enough out, maybe out of a sideline where you could have got a line trap going, because you saw once they finally did get in position, they tried to pin Clapham to the sideline, and there wasn't a lot of room for them to work with. The problem is, by the time they'd done that, they were already on the verge of the red zone, because Clapham, I think, identified pretty quickly that the Italians were coming down with a zone defense and said, okay, well, we're just going to keep moving it beyond you, make you have to get into recovery positions. And then the hammer zinged down the sideline from Briggs to Ford for the score.
So many weapons for Clapham. Ford, one that's been there most consistently, already 2 goals out of their 3 bench.
Do you think that somewhere in an attic there's a picture of Justin Ford that just looks absolutely horrendous?
No. Why?
some Dorian Gray-esque magic going on there.
No. But I do know that there's a photo of Davide in the home of Boris that we've had, that we got to see earlier this week, and consistently, in fact. Casanelli to Mancinelli. He assesses the deep and sees how open this side is. Di Grazia gets, and now Fabri. Quick inside, Ruscello, Casanelli. Back to Mancinelli. Mancinelli fires to Fabri. And Fabri to Casanelli. Getting that big stretchy reach he has, Mancinelli. Pushes off of Eels, and Eels makes the call. Justifiably. He got one right.
It's fine, we know lightning doesn't strike twice.
Mancinelli fires immediately. Too high and out the back.
A spicy option, that one. Not really sure that it needed to be delivered. Clapham taking a page out of the Italians' book, going with the zone defense, and Italy took a page out of Clapham's book and said, well, we'll just keep moving it before you can really get your teeth set in. More of a containment option, really, from Clapham, just trying to force more lateral passes. Italy moved it quickly, but again, when they got bogged down, they had Yo sagging off the handler on the far side, and that meant that the throw to the back cone had to come over the top rather than through at a flat angle. Oh, that's
Sam
poor from Hill.
Has one slip. And right back, and Mancinelli to Casanelli capitalizes on the mistake.
It's a shame for Sam Hill, because he's looked really good, has not looked out of place in a Clapham shirt this weekend, but that is one he will certainly not enjoy watching on the replay. Straight into the turf, grasses it, does not give the receiver a chance, and then Casanelli punishes that in the most ruthless way with a toe tap at the front of the end zone for the Italian score to keep us on serve. 1 break each. The Italians breaking on the first of the game. Clapham earning it back at the first opportunity, and we have traded since then to make it 3 apiece.
We have scored 3 points for Clapham, and we have 3 points for Italy.
Getting our loudspeaker update, so everyone in attendance is as well up to date as you are back home watching on your screens.
There's nothing like Ultimate in front of a crowd, Steph.
I know. It's the best.
Especially once the crowd has maybe tucked into a few of the local delicacies.
What kind of delicacies do they serve up here in Belgium, Benji?
Beer and chocolate. 2 of my favourite things, coincidentally.
Yeah, I mean, me too. French fries as well.
And,
they do. They bang
and waffles.
those out.
Yeah. You might have been able to tell this by our respective figures, by the way.
And the around to Abrams. All the way across, Felix Martin. Martin ushering with the offhand, then goes to Rag, who boshes into contact there.
It's been quite a physical game, this.
Sent deep. Hillman is in front and collects.
That's a great throw.
It was indeed. Now Gordon goes back to Rag. Rag to Abrams. Abrams goes around, takes Rag there. They've gone back into their own half. Now moving slightly forward, Brooking came from afar, and Felix Martins opens up in a gap. Charlie Butt on the doorstep now. Butt feeds in, and Martin chisels into the disc for a goal.
It took them a while to really get the possession moving, but they were happy to slowly work their way up through the gears rather than going from 0 to 60 in the click of a finger. It took them a little bit of time, but eventually they were finding those spaces. They were stretching them vertically and horizontally. Martin going across the field to Butt, and he has time to take a breath. And Martin here does the right thing. He doesn't stay static after he delivers. He follows it up as well to provide himself as a bounce-back option for Butt in the end zone for the score.
You have a look at Josh Briggs, one of the best forehands in European Ultimate. He's worth much more than just that, but that part of his game is so lethal. And the pull by Long, another great aerial shot of what we're working with around here. A lovely place to be. Casanelli to Poltok. Poltok bounces to Di Grazia, and now Fabri comes under and goes back to Poltok. Casanelli and Poltok exchange once again, and they've got some numbers on this sideline. The defense flexes and honors the man a bit more, but they do stay in this Arrowhead three-man front. Sarako to Fabri. Fabri fires to Solmi, and we have a conversation.
Yeah, I think a collision in the middle of the field there between Tyg Bogencarry and Giovanni Sarako.
Sounds like it will stay with Solmi.
Yep, I agree. It did not affect.
And goes back, Sadako. Fires inside, Casanelli. Turns, looks, hits the back corner. And Solmi puts the feet down to tie things up at 4.
Easy for Fabry to make the aeroplane arms when he doesn't have to make the catch. Solmi was thinking, maybe I should just make sure I get my body behind it. And Fabry, I wondered if there was a moment he thought, oh my God, he's overthrew me here. And then he turns around, sees his teammate, and he knows that it's good. Over 1,000 of you watching here on our ULTI.TV free live stream as we get a look at that expertly weighted throw from Casanelli, who's been mighty impressive this week. He finds the big body of Solmi at the back of the end zone. Over 1,000 of you. And, make sure, here come the calls to action, everyone.
Do it, Ben.
You know what's going to happen.
They need it.
Like, subscribe. Make sure you get notified whenever we go live with the best Ultimate free here on YouTube. If that's something that you want to support, help us grow the game, grow coverage of the game. You can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/ULTI.TV. You can now become a YouTube channel member as well. That gives you more live streams that others will not necessarily have the access to. Thinking about AUC, we did some bonus streams there. We've got more coverage as well from London Invite. But as well as those, if, you're not in a position to be able to back us in that way, then yes, just sharing all the streams, and we will, of course, maintain our commitment to making sure we're keeping some at least one free live stream at each tournament for you.
Thank you so much for that, Benj. I know everybody back home is thankful to hear it all. They're all hitting that like button right now as Briggs sends the backhand. It's fading, and it's away. And Hillman runs into the front row of the crowd there as Italy get a chance to break.
Hey, you know, Stephanie, it's a pleasure to always shout out the great work we do. I'm such a fan of rampant capitalism.
Fired over to Simonazzi.
Oof.
Ooh, and a collision there. Everybody okay, Benj?
I certainly hope so.
Brini's got the disc, but Saren getting some attention. Maybe a little knock to the head there.
Yeah, they are wise if he's feeling a little bit groggy and woozy. First step, get some water, take a breath, and then if you're feeling a little bit uneasy, just sit out the rest of the game. Cannot be too careful with these sorts of things. Actually, they're going to switch Brini out and bring Fantini in instead.
Yeah, they're going to put one of their offensive stalwarts right onto the disc. A nice tactical move by the Italians.
Yeah, with Rana Saren coming off, by the way, for Clapham defensively, they brought Felix Martin on as a replacement.
That one floats, and Grazzini indicates there was a pick right after he caught it with two hands.
Yeah, there was indeed. You see the center of the field. 4 players in very close quarters from Italy and from Clapham.
Grazzini fires. It is Laffy on the chase. He's up early and big. Takes that one down, and the Italians break to take the lead.
I didn't realize Michele Grazzini was packing an absolute rocket launcher of a forehand. Josh Briggs, never heard of him, mate. I'll just bang this one the length of the field. Alberto Laffy streaking beyond Ashley Yo. What a flick this is. Not a huge exaggerated wind-up, just step out, rips it deep. Big air by Alberto Laffy underneath it. Italy break to get back on top.
4 points for Clapham London. Just a reminder, sunshine people, it's not allowed to smoke on the beach.
Laffy with a big play, but you're right, it was the rocket launcher of Grazzini that set that up. Laffy just gave it the insurance by going up big and going up early.
I mean, you can have the biggest forehand in the world, but if there's no one cutting deep, what's the point?
It's good for nothing at that stage, Bench.
You need to have players who are willing to put in the hard yards and stretch the field, but when the disc can be delivered like that, as a cusser, why wouldn't you, you know?
And here's the pull from Olivieri. Leads for Hillman to butt.
Violation. Seems like the stall count's going to be reset back down to 1, so I wonder if there's a contact call on the mark or maybe subsequent marking infractions. Not everyone downfield was ready. Violation. Again, people aren't closing their hands. Very poor form.
They got to learn from Benji. We'll just keep giving the reminders until they've all learned, Benj. But blades one into Brooking. And hands are waving. A stall count on offer. Will Butt accept?
If the stall count reset, there's no way that was 10 seconds. So I guess it didn't. But it seemed like they're indicating that it would have done, so I don't know. It is going to be an accepted stall out.
Wow, very rare incidents. And tapped into play for the Italians to pick up and go the other way.
Yeah, but did not get a lot of support in that handler space until it was too late. Good physical match coverage from the Italians.
Olivieri to Bulgarelli and now Comirato. Rigoni intercepted by friendly fire there. Bulgarelli takes it from Comitato, turns Corazza. Corazza, Comitato. And the Italians patiently trying to set up a strike. Nice upline move by Corazza. And the throw to respect it. Giuliani kicks out. Sideline, Comitato to Corazza. The Italians put another one on, Benz. That is a break train.
I like the synergy in what's going on downfield for the Italian U24s, because it's not just they're getting players slashing this way and that, but they're taking advantage of it. When a player drags a defender in one direction, there's another Italian exploiting that by coming the other way to hit that soft spot that's just been created. Have a look at it again here from the drone angle. They get it in nice and short, and they see there's so much green grass on this near side of the field. They work it in for the 6-4 advantage, and Clapham, well, it's not quite the abominable start they had in the first meeting, but it's not up to their standards. So I understand why Coach Sean Colfer is calling the timeout.
Yeah, Clapham going to see if they can steady the ship. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more after this. Six, 4, Clapham trailing the Italians, taking that timeout. They know how precious these timeouts are, the one and only to be used by the Bullfrogs has been taken. They'll most certainly want to respond at this stage.
It's interesting because usually the reason why they say it's tough to beat the same team twice is because you can often learn more in a defeat than you can in a victory, because when you're beaten, you usually change more up than you would than if you were successful. But having said that, it looks like maybe Clapham didn't learn their lesson because they're making too many silly errors.
That one from Long was too high. East may well have had it, but slips out of his hands above his head. Paradisi goes back. Grazzini to Paradisi, showing the disc to the front of the end zone as that glorious mullet flows with his run. All eyes upfield still for Paradisi. Squatting into a half pivot, then goes to Giuliani. Into the middle, Alisi, and now Simonazzi. Trading place, or trading possession, very near the front line. East bids and misses, and the Italians capitalize in the corner. Alisi with the goal.
Superb temperament and patience outside the red zone there from the Italians. Even in getting into some high stalls, will remain unfazed, will find the options, will utilize the width. That time East had a little bit of a sniff. He couldn't quite get there in time, and it created the space for Zani on this near end zone. Yeah, and having not seen the first game between these two sides, I can't directly comment about why Clapham started slowly. And it's all very well saying, we will just start better. And to be fair, by the sounds of it, they had a lot they could do. But without taking any perhaps more material learnings from that, it shows a little bit of arrogance, I think, at times, because they have not looked prepared for the specific threats the Italians are posing. But it feels like Italy have really done their homework, which is no surprise when you consider the coaching staff that's behind them.
Yeah, no surprise at all. I mean, they know Clapham very, very well year in, year out. But I'm sure the deep dive was done into this year's iteration, exactly what the tendencies are. Certainly an assessment of the win that they had against them earlier in the tournament. The Italians looking sharp. Clapham taking that timeout, coming out, a early missed throw. They're just not at a calm enough level right now.
How many times have we seen it over the years? The first half performance from Clapham that certainly leaves room for improvement, and then in the second half that improvement comes, and in the end they come out on the right side and not that closely anyway. That's a poor reception though on the pool. Sam Hill didn't want to take it on. Sarin lets it hit the floor, and now they're in very dangerous territory.
Are they ever? This is the old Callahan country. Josh Eels squirms into the back of the end zone. Sarin. And this is very much Callahan country, right into the corner of their end zone. Trying to find exit. They go wide, and those are dangerous, but this one safe enough as Martin gets it, and now Sam Hill winds up, puts everything away. Holstering as this dynamic Italian defense just keeps making the throw options doubtable. Martin still not sure what he wants, not sure what he has. Pops over the shoulder to Yo. Eels, quick give and go to Yo and back to Eels. Eels goes to the open Sarin on the far side of the field. Now to Yo. Yo with a look-up line. Dumps back to Eels. And Ash Yo. This Italian zone is causing all sorts of trouble for Clapham right now. Yo fakes and then throws as he leans over the mark. Sarin to Eels. Eels pushing off the mark there. And then Martin, and it bounces off the head of Breedy, but it's still a chance, but knocked away by Oliveri on the second effort. What a sequence.
Love the hustle there from Olivieri to get in front, chase the down. Martin saw the opportunity, but he did not see big Mattia Brini in the way. Gets a huge piece of it. Hillman can't get there because Olivieri closes the door in his face. I feel like a player had to go off on the far side, I think, because I saw the Italian physio jogging over to the far side of the field. Clapham were very bogged down against the zone. It felt like the shot was coming. Brini clearly knew it because he got the block, which Olivieri followed up. And now Italy can break for an 8-4 halftime lead. You can't say they haven't deserved it.
Disc is going to come back in on this near sideline where Olivieri closed down the play in front of Hillman. It's tapped in by Bulgarelli, and we're ready to play. Laffy on the pickup, Sam Hill on the mark. Alberto Laffy to Tommaso Zani. Zani sends deep right away. There is a whole wealth of characters under that one, and because of it, no one can hang on. There is a foul being called. These are the kind of plays I say the foul should be on the thrower.
It was not a great throw. He really hung this one up there, but that doesn't mean that the call's not necessarily unjustified. I'm just not sure there's enough in that for me, but obviously I appreciate out there actually on the field for Brini. He's feeling the contact that I'm not necessarily seeing from my initial angle. It is going to be a turnover by the looks of it.
Yeah, well resolved. I think that was the way I saw it.
I always think it's the right thing to do. If you're not sure, you can call it, have the discussion, and if need be, say, okay, you know what, I understand, retracted.
Sam Hill tries to get around the mark, goes through to Martin. Led for Rag, he goes to ground. Rag goes wide, hits Ash Yo. Yo gestures and then gives. Rag to Wijaya. Wijaya comes to Martin, square-chested, and then tries to get the next, and it is knocked away by Rigoni.
Poor decision there from Martin, who clearly did not see Rigoni in behind, and he thought this was just a simple one to Rag. And Rags on a little bit on his heels. The disc is behind him, but Rigoni comes through and gets the clean block.
Rigoni to Zani. Zani throws low to Laffy. Laffy leads and in for the goal. It's Brini for another half taker. 8-4 Italy sticking it to Clapham.
They were 4-3 down at one point, remember. This is now 5 on the spin for the Italian U24s, and they've done it in a variety of ways. They've got a couple of blocks, but I think very impressive is that a Clapham side that looks so composed against a strong Belgium under-24 side in the semi-finals. They look rocked and they look rattled.
This is wild. An incredible end to that first half for the Italian under-24s. They have got hot and stayed hot. And Clapham are searching for answers. They used their timeout. They're going to get another huddle here at the halftime. But they haven't come up with anything concrete yet.
Perché se sono vicino lo obbligo a spostarsi, lo annoia. Se sono lontano si guardano. Adesso che succede? Hanno i nuovi club che non hanno mai attaccato la cotta, non la sono attaccare, quindi fanno pose. E noi stiamo, però adesso noi andiamo a
Attacco.
Facciamo la vera.
Lega, da dove? Lega, di là. Con calma, siamo stati anche ieri l'altro sopra di 3 o di 4. Abbiamo avuto bene. Tenere, loro non vogliono mai
See, Davide, I agree with you. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think you do too.
By the
Certainly
way,
we agree with what Pingu was saying.
is that Tokai Super Team's Luca Pingu Tognetti?
That is Tokai Super Team's Luca Pingu Tognetti.
I think something that we have maybe neglected to mention a little bit was that Italy started out on defense, remember, so they will be receiving to begin the second half, and if they can get the hold here, it's a 9-4 lead. Clapham are good, let's not pretend that they're not, but that is a huge deficit with 2/3 of the time having been played.
Some of the greatest comebacks I've seen in European Ultimate have come from Clapham being behind and playing their way back in it. They have it in them. It is possible. They need a spark. They need something to get this going, because right now the Italians have all the mojo, Benji.
Well, did you know that a setback is actually a woosian? It's a portmanteau.
How so? A setback?
Yeah, it's a setup for a comeback.
Ah.
Thank you.
I didn't know we were woojing on a setback.
I was yelling it enough at CFC, Steph. I think you would have learned.
Every now and again, information gets past me, Benji. It's not that often, but every now and again.
We'll see what Italy can do on the first possession of this half. Clapham, there we go. There's a change of plans. The arrowed roller out of the sideline so they can get their trap defense set up. I think they probably would have preferred it further downfield.
Yes, sure.
And it didn't look like they were particularly quick at working out who had who either.
Mancinelli gets the disc from Poltok. He goes inside as Fantini curls, and now Sadako to Rosie. Rosie to Sadako again. Great work in the backfield by the Italians, changing the angle, changing possession. The lead, even with the switch, is exactly who gets open as Poltok. Now Mancinelli charges into the disc. Fantini with Butt on the mark. Leads to the corner all alone. Rossi, how did that happen? It's 9-4. Goodness gracious.
My attention was drawn to all the traffic in the centre of the field. Must have been for Clapham as well, because he had the freedom of Flanders, let's be real. There was no one anywhere close.
It seems like one of those cases of anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Bit of a Murphy's Law game.
And quite the opposite for the Italians. They are outplaying them, but also there's just this, the bad bounces, the bad luck, all falling the way of Clapham. That is now from 4-3, a 4-3 lead They're now down 9-4. That's simple math. I've got this, Benji. That's 6 on the bounce.
This is a collapse of which the England cricket team would be proud. I've been burned many times before. I think you can tell. Love this puller, by the way. Steeple in skyscraping. It's awkward to catch, so Long has to field it on the roll.
East. Sets to center. Briggs. The around to Magnus Wilson. Simonazzi on the trip up, and that leaves Briggs open for a quick reset just in front of scrimmage. Ford with the rangy Paradisi. East catches off balance. Ford again. Quick to McCullough. McCullough right back to Justin Ford. Ford around to Long. Long swipes, and you see this defense charging so hard. Ford finds the corner. Not in yet. Giuliani peeled off to help too, and Ford goes into a full fall to sell the fake. Finds McCullough on the inside lane. And it is 9-5, Benj. What a way to make a living.
The Italian defense really made Clapham have to grind that out on that one. But there were little bits of that offense that I didn't really like from Clapham. They had particularly here with Long, they had a huge fake and the mark was properly fully sat down. And in that situation, you've got someone free. Sure, they've got the disc, but it's so easy to get an offload and then have it run through a player like Long with a defender on the floor, but it was very static. It took a while to get them going, and I just think that's an opportunity where they really could have pounced and picked up the tempo. They didn't need it in the end as they find McCullough for the score. And you see there on the reverse angle, yeah, that foot from Ford clearly not in, gets himself back in play, tries to maybe buy the foul off Paradisi, doesn't get it, but doesn't need it in the end anyway. It'd be interesting to see what Clapham do defensively, because whatever the plan was to last point, it clearly did not work because they had a wide open player in the end zone, the Italians, and that is generally not in the defensive playbook.
Casanelli goes to Poltak. Casanelli. And Mancinelli. Fabri in the middle of the field, winds up, gives the backhand. Rosie has separation, and another goal. Double up, 10-5, Italy.
I'm still not sure the trailing edge was the most advisable way of catching that. I thought he had enough time to just chase it down with a simple clap catch. Didn't matter in the end. He had Wijaya beaten like a drum, striking deep. And the Italian offense goes from strength to strength to strength. See it again here. Where is it? In stride. Scubas it for the spike, and I think he actually scubas it into Wijaya. And to his credit, immediately goes over to apologise. No offence meant by it. But, I mean, this is exactly what you want as an offense. You get a one-on-one straight down the center of the field, so the thrower's got a big, wide open space to aim at. He can lead, and you've got time to adjust. And Rosie that time, Wijaya had zero chance to throw an absolute strike.
Rosie, big game in the semi as well. Has been on the up and up in the club scene, playing with BFD La Fotta, showing off his quads in that semi after he got up and took a big one.
Yeah, not a bad performance considering he is, in his words, on one leg.
Abrams with the disc. Rag. Sends the big hammer to Martin. Olivieri bounces off and hurts himself in the process, and Hillman is there for the goal.
I think this might come back on the injury because Olivieri hit Martin in an awkward way, and I think as soon as he went down, he did call it before Martin threw.
It is given as a goal.
Good spirit there by the Italians.
I think that's right. As much as Olivieri, what we want is for him to be up and healthy. He put himself into that situation to foul and become injured. And for Martin to have to, wait for him to get up and not take that open throw.
Yeah, slightly sketchy throw from Martin, to be honest, because Dan Hillman, in the end, had to really slide in the back of the end zone to make sure he could keep it in bounds. Asked a lot more than perhaps it really needed to, but they got it to stick. I don't think they set that up particularly well. Italy, from quite an early point there, showed that they were going to go down with the zone, and Clapham still started in the side stack, and I'm not precisely sure why, because that's so easy for the Italians to defend. It required the skyscraping hammer from Rag to get them out of it.
Yeah, that big hammer. Olivieri getting the attention still, so we'll hope to see him up and healthy. Yeah, Butt didn't know, I don't think, that it was Hillman chasing behind him because he sent the body on full launch to try and make a play to haul in the Martin rainbow just the same.
Yeah, just under 12 minutes left till that cup comes on. Italy still with a relatively comfortable cushion. Olivieri is still down on the field, by the way, which is why we're waiting a little bit longer to get going again. Hope the young lad's okay. Yeah, he has been helped up to his feet. Yeah, they did pause the timer temporarily as well, so he can receive that treatment.
It will come back in as a pull from Clapham after that goal. They're down by 4 with just more than 10 minutes to play.
Yeah, timer running again. The pull landing out of bounds, so Poltok will get a freebie to come in from the brick mark. When you're behind in the game, a big pull can have such an impact to pen the Italians in deep. But you pull it out of bounds, and all of a sudden the Italians get a nice, slow, leisurely walk to the brick mark.
Yeah, nice, comfortable place to start from as well. It takes a lot of the pressure off. Casanelli gets Ruscello coming across. Ruscello goes back to Casanelli, and now Mancinelli leads and hits Poltok. Poltok switches grips, Mancinelli again. The catch and release speed of so many of these Italians, very impressive. Mancinelli, nice flat around to Poltok. And these two doing the bulk of the carrying on this point. Mancinelli offers a couple backhand fakes, then flippers to Poltok. Once again, back to Mancinelli, and those two did everything to make it 11-6.
They're so mobile at the front of that Italian offense that they're drawing constant switches, and eventually they're saying, we don't think you can keep this up. We don't think that the focus, the mentality is necessarily there. That communication breakdown will come, and they get it, and when they do, Poltok, like a laser, delivers. Found well, delivered well. Italy cruising.
Italy cruising, as are we, enjoying all the fruits that Belgium has to offer. What are some of your favorite things about Belgium, Benji?
The people.
The people? Yes, of course.
Because the people bring me the beer and the chocolate.
What do these people produce? Yes, the beer and the chocolate. We've just had a wonderful delivery from the amazing tournament staff here at Tom's Tourney.
What's this one? A Snikers?
I'm not sure that is Belgian chocolate, that Snikers. But I know that this is a Belgian libation, the Bruges Otte.
I was going to... nearly a spillage. I was going to say Sean Colfer, the mastermind of Clapham at the moment, but on this performance, it's certainly not one that I want to put on his coaching CV.
Well, unless they can get themselves out of this jam, then that's one
If they do, I will happily eat some humble pie.
Yeah, here is Sam Hill.
With a side serving of crow.
Maybe some egg for the face.
Yeah. With 9 minutes left, I will admit, I don't see it.
Yeah, I got to say the same. I mean, I would love to see it as much as I don't think I generally cheer for Clapham.
As a commentator,
always cheer for comebacks.
I always want a universe point finish, right? That's the facts.
Sarin Paradisi has hurt the foot jumping over Grazzini. He gets the hoofs clacked.
I will say that we saw Sarin have a rather nasty collision earlier in this game, so more than anything else, it is good to see him back out there. But yeah, Paradisi there gets clipped and is in a heap on the floor. He'll have to be replaced. They'll bring on Bulgarelli in his stead.
Still working out. And they've got it figured out. Sam Hill goes to Sarin. Around too high. Eels squirms and finds. He shoots deep. Wants Yo, gets him. Great bid, but not enough. Sam Hill chisels in. And Clapham make it Slurpee time.
Clapham are really playing in the margins right about now. This is not in the center of the playbook. It's right on the engines. The little notes you can just about scribble in there because it's being played so tightly. The pop-up there from Rana Sarin. Eels on the spot to capitalize from that. And I think he senses that, you know, the Italian defense isn't necessarily in position. And he does the right thing and he sends it. It's a good bid on the end of it. Nice and clean, although it does come up shy there. And then Ashley Yo. I think this is the classic Ashley Yo assist. He'll catch it on the doorstep and then pop it to someone else for the score.
4-point lead for the Italians as Clapham put one on. And Abrams sends deep.
Clapham sidelines trying their best to get the energy going because it has been a very flat performance from them.
Fantini in his own end zone winds up, does not deliver. Now a high-ish stall count, but he does get it out to Casanelli. Oh, what a play! Rag comes around. Could this be the spark? That layout by Rag was phenomenal. The body control, exactly what you need for a big-time play at a big moment.
It's not quite as deft. It seems like there's an injury as well. Rag's going to have to come on in the aftermath. It reminds me a little bit of that Kirk Gibson block from the World's Final back in 2016, where he's coming round and kind of palming it from in front with a trailing edge a little bit. It's really tough to get the body control and avoid contact. Hope Rag is okay. Do you know what set that up for Clapham?
What was it?
They actually got a good pull for a change, and
right.
It makes such a difference.
Hillman on the doorstep. Abrams leads into the end zone, and Martin collects 8-11, and Clapham have their first sign of life in the second half.
Where has this been from the Bullfrogs? That was so much better. Even when the pull was up in the air, the energy, the intensity was much better. They nailed the pull as well, tight to the sideline. It took them a while to bring it in, and the defense got their clamps shut quickly. And Rag has been such a tone setter for Clapham for a number of years. This time coming from behind, nips in front. Fabry can't believe it. He was sure that Rag had no shot. And Hillman wanted the quick pick up into the end zone. Italy fortified, but he resets to Abrams, and Abrams goes wide to Martin. And again, Clapham, I think they need to utilise that. And obviously, that's much easier said than done. But get the energy going. You're a better side once you have that fire.
We're going to end up getting ourselves a frog chant soon, I imagine. You see Rag and Morty on the sideline having a couple, what I believe are friendly words.
Can you get your hotspot?
And that pull is up and lands. And the Italians can't make the first pass. Magnus Wilson breaks through the lane, and this is some energy now from Clapham.
I think it is a foul, but it doesn't need to be a big deal. Just get on with it.
Magnus Wilson on the spin, feeds into the guts of Bogan Carey. He finds Justin Ford. 911 emergency, and that's got to be blanket through the hearts of the Italians watching Clapham gain momentum this late in the game.
Yeah, that's how quickly the script can flip when you're playing aside the quality of Clapham. Just to throw a little bit off, once they sense something, they are like a dog with a bone. They will not let it go. That time a bit inside. Wilson of the Magnus variety. Conrad, you might have noticed, not out there this game. Bruised a hand yesterday, so he's not been able to suit up for Clapham. But Magnus, been doing it for years, does it again, gets in front, gets the block, and then outside the end zone. Again, Clapham looking cool, calm, collected, and a simple dish with the offhand from Bogan Carey to Ford for the score.
We talk about the seed of doubt from time to time, and that seed gets planted with inabilities to finish and late charges of energy against. I think it's fair to say that that seed is planted.
You can use my hotspot if you want. You can use it. Password is fuck that.
And Casanelli with the disc in his own end zone. And Mancinelli, there's a bounce on the mark. McCullough falls into him.
Apologies if any colourful language came through the Wi-Fi.
And Casanelli fires to Mancinelli. They chunk some yards, and Mancinelli expresses a little bit of unhappiness with how close McCullough has been coming on these marks.
Yeah, you try and take the opponent, at their word, give them the benefit of the doubt, but if it happens time and time again, you do get the feeling that sometimes it can be a little bit cynical at stopping the flow.
Getting right in there with our roaming cameras as Mancinelli fires, looking for Zani, and he's got him. And the Italians answer, stretching it back out to 3. Benji, the time is pushing ever closer now. We're going to get a horn soon. But the Italians stretching ahead, trying to keep Clapham in their place.
You get a couple of breaks on the bounce. It's so important for your O-line to stop that bleeding as quickly as possible. And Italy, I think, recognise that the You know, that they needed to hold that to make sure that Clapham just couldn't continue to build the momentum as the hooter goes during this Italian timeout. So we will finish this point, add one, and that will be our score cap.
Can we work out what our potential finishing scores would be? Does that mean, Benji?
So it'll be 12-10, game to 13, or 13-9, game to 14. Whatever the outcome, I mean, the ball is firmly in Italy's court, and they are squaring up an enormous ace.
And with that, a timeout taken. We're going to take a short break here, and we'll be back for the tail end of this magical game. We live in a world where everything can be referenced online. Imagine if the greatest moments in our sport were never filmed. Eurodisc continues to do what it takes to make free-to-watch live streams a reality. Let's leave nothing to the imagination. We'll consume the action live, and we'll support those that help to make it happen. If it wasn't streamed, it didn't happen. Eurodisc.
What a grab! Oh my! Somehow they do it!
Here we go.
This year, London Invite is bigger than ever, with 8 teams in the Open Division, 8 teams in the Women's Division, and for the first time, a full 8-team Mixed Division.
With 5 World Games teams, USA, Canada, Australia, Germany, France.
As well as the Tokai Super Team, it's sure to be the ultimate showcase of the best in the world.
More teams, more streams, more stars, more ultimate.
More excitement.
You're not going to want to miss London Invite 2025.
And you're not going to want to miss any of the action here from Tom's either, with Dan Hillman getting this late possession going to butt a must score by my estimation. Hillman waits, finds Rag, good to see him back, and he makes another play. But to Rag, eyes upfield, that was a dangerous throw, but Hillman gets away with it. A lot of bumping on the mark there. Brini calling the foul, and he may be the one in the offending position.
Yeah, I see it the same way you do. He's feeling that he's being budged into there by Hillman, but that's happening because he is not giving Hillman the space that he is entitled to, in my opinion anyway.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. As mentioned, Hillman to Gordon. Ollie Gordon goes around to Brooking, a speedster who's been impressive, leads to Gordon. Gordon can't find the right out, and Paradisi and Brooking tangle up.
Yeah, as the game gets later on, it's getting more physical, or if it's not getting more physical, both teams, I think, have decided that all of a sudden they're not happy with the level of physicality. Which, I mean, you know, theoretically it's a non-contact sport, but if you've been happy with a level throughout the game, that level shouldn't really change as the game gets towards the end. That's part of good spirit, is calling things consistency throughout the duration of a contest.
Yeah, one of the parts of the rules that is often offended is that consistency because of late game intensity. Let's see how it's handled here. Brooking goes to Gordon. Gordon bobbles and drops. Is there a foul? He calls the turnover. He knows that was unforced enough.
Yeah, there might have been a bit of contact, but that's just a drop, and he knows it.
Good spirit by it, but he's not happy with himself. Grazzini.
No, understandably.
Goes back to Simonazzi, who jacks it deep. Gordon is there to make sure that his team gets it back after his error. Then he sends for Abrams. Not the nicest looking throw, but it does hit. Brooking comes under.
They're so disconnected downfield. No one's doing anything for their handler set.
The fatigue is seemingly setting in. Butt does come out into the flank and connects. Now Abrams running forward, collects in power position, does send late. Rag is there! Nathan Ragg. What a grab. 10-12. And he celebrates with some sort of face goggles there.
Yeah, that's Abrams throwing Ragg open, but I think he could have thrown him a little bit more easily open, to be honest. Didn't have to be quite the stretch required from Ragg that it was, but there wasn't a huge amount going on there for Clapham. That possession felt like it was hard work for them. It was very statty, and Abrams tries to take the initiative himself, leading Ragg to this near side, but there was a lot of work to do. Boy, did Nathan Ragg do it.
Well, 3 game points for Italy now. It is a game to 13, Benji. The Italians are looking... They've got a nice path to the finish line here.
Yeah,
but
they're going to get 3 chances at the win.
Look at the momentum. It has been Clapham in the late game. Italy have proven their worth, how good they are throughout the game, but this is where it really matters. To be able to close out the game, to be able to shut the door completely, to be able to claim the title is the tallest of tasks in a game of Ultimate.
I was going to say, one thing you can't do is give them a free start. A pull that pins Casanelli right at the back of his own end zone is exactly the way to start a point where you need breaks. Good catch there by Ruscello.
It was 2 Italian jerseys, but they may not have known it. They would have just felt the crossing congestion, but they hang on, does Ruscello, and now Mancinelli with a disc. Mancinelli to Casanelli. And sends deep. Fantini is there, not in yet. Championship point. Zani and the Italians take Tom's Tourney 2025. 13-10. What a performance by them all weekend long. They lost the exhibition game by 1, and from then have been undefeated and very deserving champions.
It's tough to beat the same team twice, they say. Didn't necessarily look that tough for the Italians. Clapham made so many unforced errors. They did not give the best account of themselves in this game. They found something late, but they gave themselves far too much to do. They'll get back and they'll have a long, stern look in the mirror at this one, because it was not a performance benefiting a program with the history of Clapham's. But we shouldn't take anything away from the Italy U24s. They delivered a number of clutch throws, big grabs. They really got Clapham out of rhythm. And when they were given errors, more often than not, they took advantage. There was that 5-point run to end the first half when they went from 4-3 down to 8-4 up, and then they held out a half. They converted on 5 of 6 possessions in that sequence, and the one they didn't work, they got back and scored anyway. And that big run was too much for Clapham to handle.
And in true Italian Ultimate fashion, they use the whole team. They are here to be soldiers. 14 stat getters on for Italy. None, or only 2 with more than 2. And a shout out to them, Mancinelli, Casanelli, and the game-winning goal there game-winning assist for Fantini. Those 3 had 3 stats, and those are the standouts. That's how well distributed the offensive attack was for the Italians.
Yeah, as often we think about the Italians as a bit of a nameless, faceless army, the Azzurri, but then you examine the roster in more depth and you think, well, actually, Poltok was the centre handler for a team that got silver at EUC. We've seen how the heights Paradisi can hit. Fantini was a huge part of the Italian mixed side as well. Zani has been massive over the course of the week. Olivieri's demonstrated so much at U20. Giacomo Rosi came up clutch again and again and again. This is a stacked Italian roster. They are a huge medal threat in Logroño in a couple of months' time. You better believe it.
I cannot wait for that tournament, but I cannot say enough how thrilled I am to have been here one more time, another year in Bruges, another year at Tom's. The championship medals will be distributed right after this, but have been claimed already. Benj, it's just nothing but good times around here, and I think the shout-outs come to beyond just the players, but the organization here is second to none.
Oh, I mean, it's been 8 years since my last Tom's, and I knew it'd been far too long, but nothing has affirmed it like this week. They even got the weather out for us, but it has been so superbly run, such a tight ship, and the Bruges will be in full flow for everyone in attendance, but especially for the Italians. Look at their faces. Look what it means. Yes, the big prize for them is U24s, but they know how important it is to come to tournaments like this against top-level competition and establish nice and early that culture of winning. Winning is a very, very good habit to get into, Steph, as you well know.
It's easy to go to a competition like this, a prep tournament, and say, you know, almost as an excuse sometimes, yes, we didn't have our best game, we didn't have our best performance, but we're leading to the next one. We worked on this, we worked on that. Working on winning is an underestimated skill. Being able to assuredly get your team into tight situations, fight hard. You cannot replicate this in training. This is the stuff that gets you ready to really win on the big stage.
And Clapham will say, you know, we got what we wanted out the weekend. We didn't win, but we learned a lot about ourselves, about combinations, about what we did well and what we didn't do well. But if you ask them if they would rather have won, obviously they would rather have won.
Oh, yeah, obviously. So we'll continue these shout-outs. Boris Van der Luik, Glenn Nolf, the two at the helm. They've got such a huge team, and I cannot shout out every single one of them, but those two most certainly getting a major shout-out for the work they do. They take us in, they house us.
Literally, yeah.
Literally, like right into the home of Boris. But they take care of us all along the way. They make sure we have our libations sorted, our chocolates, our goods all around, and we couldn't be happier to be here. So great thanks once again, and as always, to the Tom's organizing committee.
Yeah, and the whole team of staff and volunteers they have here. You know, everyone doing the job. You think about what a big service, you know, food is at the end of the day, and at other tournaments, how frustrating it can be. And here, it feels so seamless compared to other places. And
the chili con carne, the barbecue
Barbecue was exceptional, Steph. The barbecue, I guess, for the Frisbees.
Yes, the barbecue, perhaps. And, well, Benji, we thank our viewers back home. We love them for tuning in. We love them for hitting the like button, for being subscribers, for being ready to become members and getting a bit more when we offer a bit more coming up at London Invite, as we did at AUC. Our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in and staying with us. And, of course, Benji, we couldn't do any of this without our ULTI.TV crew.
Yeah,
we'll start with Billy Retham over there on camera 2 right now, but the whole crew bounced around and did a bit of everything. Billy repping, I'm not helping him rep Smash D. I just did, I said it. Billy Retham, a wonderful human being.
Yeah, Billy Matthews as well, the coffee bill.
Here is Lucia Pekarova, another one who just works tirelessly, keeps going up early, stays until the job's done, gets the shots, does it all. Where is the coffee bill? Because there he is, the.coffee.bill, Billy Matthews, getting the job done. He loves his coffee. Check him out on Instagram, but his drone work is really what keeps us going, keeps the eye in the sky. He's happy to run around with the roaming cam. And there he is, Felix Shardlow, our production boss here, keeping everything rolling. As the camera keeps moving around, our commentary team, Hannah Pendlebury, you saw, helped us with stats, but more prominently holds it down on the mic.
Outstanding
all
commentator,
the weekend.
which everyone knows already. Let's not pretend otherwise.
Benji Reese, the well of infinite ultimate knowledge, who brings everything every time. Any question I've got, he's got an answer for, and usually the answer for.
It's not always the right answer, but it is usually an answer.
Yes, and with that, I tap my hat off to all of those we've thanked. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yourself as well, obviously, Steph.
It has been, thank you, Benj, but an absolute pleasure. We love bringing you ultimate production as best we can to honor what we know these players put into the sport. The dedication they put in deserves the best that we can give, and when it comes off like this, we are proud and happy to have brought you this broadcast.
Yeah, we appreciate we're in a very privileged position to be able to bring you these events, and there's a whole team of people both at the event remotely, on the event side itself as well, to help facilitate us to make these things happen. It doesn't go in without a lot of work, and we would really appreciate your support to help produce events like this with the coverage they deserve. So like, subscribe, make sure you get notified as the trophy presentation is just about to get underway. Check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/ULTI.TV. Become a YouTube channel member as well to get more coverage at London Invite coming up in a few weeks' time. Boy, I cannot wait for that. We've got other events in the meantime as well. Of course, we're at Vienna Spring Break this weekend. Beach Euros, I think, EBUCC in Gdansk as well. There's so much to come on ULTI.TV. We want to bring you as much as we possibly can, and if that is something you support, please do let us know, let others know as well, so we can keep doing this and we can keep producing games and tournaments like that.
Well, wonderful stuff, Benj. I feel like I have to have one final shout out to Bruges because they have fueled us along the way, but I say that partially in jest because the real thanks have already been given. And with that, we will put the lid on another exceptionally successful campaign here from Bruges. We are again delighted and just ever so happy to have you with us. So for this wonderful crew I've just shouted out, for the talk, and for Benji on the mic with me, I've been Stefan Rapazzo. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.
I don't care what the others say, and I still think of you night and day, and yeah, I lost my way, I can't walk in the sun, can't talk, can't fly without you now. I'm so lost without you. I won't make it without you.